Yo, and welcome to the Blowing Smoke podcast. I'm here today with my buddy Jasper, and we're just going to be talking about End of Dragons. We've both been playing the Guild Wars franchise since Guild Wars 1, way back in the day, before it was even called Prophecies. So we've been in the game for a while, and Cantha Factions is amazing, and we both have experiences from the past from it, so I figured we'd just talk about our hype levels and how we feel about things. So, alright, Jasper, I just wanted to say, first up, on the docket, story. As you know, we're less than a week away from actually going to Cantha, and we don't really have a strong and narrative reason. Do you think that's, like, what are your feelings on that? I feel like it's a missed opportunity to not do something like Path of Fire or Heart of Thorns did.
It is a strange spot to be in, as we're about to go to another land, and we don't have any direct reason other than a very obscure sort of like brief sentence where Aurene says at the end of Iceford Saga, the magic went elsewhere, or something along those lines. And the only thing that you can kind of see that maybe that's the case is that we're going south to Canthas, because if you look up in the sky, you see all the freaking bubble magic going in a southerly direction, in the sky, and that's it.
Yeah, and that's it. It's like magic went south. And I think there's maybe one thing later where Tiny says something that someone else took it or something, but that's like roughly all we get. Like, we don't get a lot of information as to why. I do know that in the most recent trailer, I believe, or maybe I think it was the most recent trailer, Casimir says that she has a mission from the Queen. She has like a royal missive. So there might be some type of reason to be sent there from the Queen, but it still begs the question as to why. Like, I don't really understand we don't really have the real solid in.
Yeah, so in regards to the Queen, like, unless you're willing to go into like deep, like really deep fan fiction territory in order to make the Queen connection, is that the Queen is a mage, effectively, of like unrivaled capability in the lore of the game. Okay, she can just, with a flip of her freaking fingers, she can dome the entire metropolis of Divinity's Reach against a siege threat.
She kills 5 people by like pointing at them.
Yes, and she does all this and doesn't show any level of fatigue whatsoever, which means that she's got some kind of stamina pool that is effectively godlike.
Don't need shoes.
Yes, and that's where I'm going with this, is that the shoesless thing is actually something that comes from like folklore, particularly I believe in Scandinavian regions, where the witch in the freaking wood, they don't wear shoes because it enables them to be closer to the earth and closer to the kind of like the nature of things that are happening around them. And maybe she's, through her little toesies, she feels, oh, there's things brewing on the other side of the planet.
I mean,
I gotta send the Dragon Slayer down there to deal with things.
Right, go send their muscle. As she says, we like to smash. I remember in that exact same mission too, she comments how like, oh, it must be fun to just smash all your problems away. And it's like, well, actually, we are in our problems because we were smashing our problems away, but that's fine. But yeah,
so that's just the.
I wonder, do you think there'll be like an opening story chapter or two that's in Tyria, maybe in the throne room itself, that sets us on our way, probably?
I mean, it's just.
Or do you think it's just going to be, or just no? Yeah, I know it's so hard to say. I mean, maybe Casimir just shows up and is like, "Oh, I have tickets for 4 to Cantha. Let's go." Just like
basically at this point, that might as well be it, unless there's going to be some sort of something that happens, like
how do we
that painting that sort of artwork that shows like waves smashing into Lion's Arch that are and they're dragon shaped, like, I don't know, freaking Elrond and freaking Gandalf just sent a wave towards Lion's Arch and shaped it like dragons.
It would be interesting if this starts off with an attack on Lion's Arch, except this time Lion's Arch can actually hold its own instead of just fucking getting destroyed.
Yeah, that is some people have said that would be, I think like one potato say something like that would be really cool if like
probably
for once Lion's Arch doesn't just get smacked.
Doesn't just fold in on itself. Yeah, it actually, I mean, after all the times it's been assaulted, you'd think they'd figure something out. I don't know, that'd be an interesting way to start. It will immediately establish threat, which is good. You know, if the moment it starts off, we're already like, oh snap, they can attack us from here. But I don't know, it'll be interesting to see. I am curious. I always like to see how the seeds of the adventure start, and this is the most, like, I guess the weakest, or at least like least set up. So I don't know. I was kind of hoping that maybe we'd get something during the Celestial New Year, since that was kind of a Cantha thing. I was hoping maybe they could tie something in the event to it, like maybe there'd be like a pre-event. You know, I played we played World of Warcraft, we played other MMOs, so I'm used to, like, I like the idea of those little pre-events that sort of imply when an expansion's coming. So I don't know.
But the last time we had something like that, it didn't go over very well.
I know, but that doesn't mean you should never. Just because you had a failure doesn't mean you shouldn't try again.
Yeah, but I mean, we're talking about the Guild Wars 2 community.
I know. The last time, it was like the Mordrum thing, right? With the weird Mordrum tokens.
Yeah, and to be fair, they didn't really do that very properly.
No, they didn't at all.
But the problem is that, like, I don't know. They either have to make the rewards of such an event like so trivially easy to get that it's like whatever and no one cares, or they make it, you know, like they did last time where it's so difficult to get it that it just irritates everyone.
Yeah.
There's really no in between there.
I mean, I just want lore and story reason. You don't even have to really reward me with anything. I just something to set me on the path, but I get it.
Yeah, but then there's an issue of like,
what's the point? And then it goes away. And then it goes away
after. That goes into a really difficult area with how Guild Wars 2 operates. That if you make the things super easy and not terribly rewarding, like, yeah, some people want to do it for the story, but then a huge chunk of people won't even do it because there's no reason to do it monetarily. I guess, within the game economy.
I guess I did.
I just their account.
Yeah, I don't just. Yeah, I know. I guess I'm just saying, like, I just wanted the celestial thing being such a Canthan thing in lore, and being so close to us going to Cantha. I just wanted like a wink or a nod, or like maybe the what this tiger. Maybe the tiger could be like, like, look out. I don't know. Just wink at it. Have the tiger tell me that bad shit's happening. I don't know. Maybe make it so that, like, 1 out of every, like, 500,000 red envelopes has a little fortune cookie that says, like, bad tidings ahead or something. I don't know. Like, just like a trash item that says, like, shit's going south.
That actually, that would have been really cool. Fortune cookie. That actually would have been. Actually, that would. I really kind of wish they had done something like that.
Right? No? I was.
Wait, what the heck is a fortune?
Yeah.
Wait, I've never gotten a fortune out of these. What?
Yeah, and then it's just a scrap item. You can sell it for 1 copper or something, and it just has the quotes, and it's just like, I guess you can't say shit's gone south, although that'd be fucking funny. But you could say, like, yeah, I don't know, something. Bad luck and misfortune will affect your pathetic soul for all eternity. I don't know, something. But yeah, anyway, so we don't know how it's gonna start. All we have, it's a reading that's been so vague. It's so hard to really tell what's gonna be going on. So we know what we have. We know Kunavang is somewhere over there. We know Oreen's obviously gonna go down there.
Well, the Kunavang? What was the whole? How did? Okay, I feel like I should know more about Kunavang, but
well, there's not that much to know.
Did she like survive at the end of factions? I don't remember.
Yeah. Yes.
So she wasn't. She was like undead.
She was
being.
Then
she got purified or something.
She was being corrupted by. When you first meet her, she's being corrupted by Shiro, and Shiro's trying to dominate her will. And she literally is telling you while you're like fighting her, she's like, I can't control myself. You must get out of here, leave. I'm going, go. and you like basically slap the possession out of her.
Okay,
And
we don't murder.
no,
Okay.
yeah, you slap the possession out of her, and she's like, "Oh, okay, I'm better now. I'm gonna help you." And then she later gives you like celestial abilities. Literally, they're all like celestial stance or celestial
Oh
endurance or
yes, yes, depending
celestial.
on your profession.
Yeah, but they're all celestial. That's the thing. I don't know if it really matters. Cantha just has
Because
that
it
strong
means
celestial.
OP. It means OP.
Yeah, it really does though. That's what it means. But yeah, and she's alive at the end. She helps you. She doesn't actually fight Shiro, but she gives you abilities to help fight him. And then, last we know, yeah, she's fine. And then she's mentioned in the first trailer.
So she's still around. Like yeah, I saw she was. I just didn't know if that was specifically Kunavang or another salt spray of some sort. But no, it's legit Kunavang. Okay.
Yeah.
So she's not dead.
Not.
So
Nope. We
Well,
don't know. We don't know
so
if
what
she
does
has
that
any.
mean? So she's basically what? That's a champion of bubbles.
That would be the only thing that makes sense at this point. Or I was gonna say, or maybe she's just a really strong, powerful salt spray dragon. But the simple fact that she gave us celestial abilities in the first game kind of implies to me she's at least a little more powerful than a regular salt spray. So the salt sprays themselves maybe are just babies of bubbles. I don't know. The thing about the dragons is that each dragon sort of behaves differently, so it's kind of hard. There's no like real hard consistency to know how they do their things. So their minion, maybe Bubbles just makes dragon-shaped minions as well as like tentacle stuff. Like I don't know. We haven't really gotten to see.
I'm interested to see how Jade comes into all of this.
Yeah, I know.
Because this is supposed to be a water-based dragon, and most certainly this green stuff that's around us right here. I don't think that, despite the fact that it kind of looks like water, obviously it is not water. It's very much not a liquid.
Do you think maybe Bubbles is also suffering from some type of magic sickness like Krokotoric was?
I think that it's safe to assume that at this point. Because I mean, she made like Irene makes the statement, at the end of the Ice Fruit Saga there, that they all go freaking crazy or something along those lines.
Or do you think maybe the jade magic or the enchanted jade stuff helps keep it sane, and by doing all the jade taking?
We don't know what the jade stuff is, because back in Guild Wars 1, the whole harvest ceremony where they were allegedly, their belief was that they were drawing this magic from
Dwayna,
the gods, from Dwayna or whatever.
It was for a good harvest.
Yeah, but then Shiro gets a hold of the magic through nefarious means, and then that he gets murdered, and then all that contained magic that he absorbed gets released and has this effect on the world around it. We don't really know why that is.
Well, my thing too, we don't. But my thing too is, at least in Guild Wars 2, they put a lot of emphasis on the jade. But like, what about the amberite? Because in factions, they also had the amberite that also had like properties and was valuable. I wonder,
because that was petrified sap in the trees that were affected by the same thing. And so it's just like jade is water. Jade was water, and that ambrite was tree sap.
Right. But so what makes the jade so special that becomes super valuable, but this amberite that also had the same thing happen to it is not as valuable? It doesn't even get talked about or mentioned.
I mean, it may in fact become a thing. It's just that the jade is the more interesting thing, because there's the very defining thing of factions was the Jade Sea. No other game has any sort of land area that has this kind of creative aspect to it.
It's true. Cantha has a very unique setting, which is one of the reasons why it's so endearing, I think.
And I think it was just the obvious plot point to go with, that people are expecting.
Yeah, fair enough.
That they could kind of rely on or lean on, so that they don't spoil crap.
Yeah, it's curious to see. I'm curious.
Well, I would fully expect that ambrite and other associated things, the spores and all of the creative stuff that existed in Guild Wars 1 will be kind of inferred in Guild Wars 2 in some way.
Yeah, I'm sure they're usually pretty good at least inferring or implying, or at least like, hey, we remember this in one way or another. So that's fair. Do you think we're killing an Elder Dragon at the end of this? Do you think this is gonna end with all the Elder Dragons? It is End of Dragons. Do you think it's gonna end?
I'm sure it'll end with the death of something, because that's kind of the story trope you have to go with. Something has to die at the end. I don't know necessarily what that's gonna be.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm also curious if they're doing.
It could either literally be the End of Dragons, where Bubbles dies, Kunavang dies, and Aurene dies, and it's just the End of Dragons altogether, or at the end of this, all that magic gets eaten up by Aurene. Maybe Kunavang will take part in that as well, and then they disappear
and then they
elsewhere.
Leave. That's what I think. Yeah, I'm down for that. I'm down for them dying too. I don't really care either way the story goes, as long as it's told well. But I think more realistically, by the end of it, the quote bad dragons are gone, or at least like the morally corrupt, the morally weird ones are gone, and Aurene has to leave. Like maybe she fully ascends, eats all the magic, and is like, "Yo, I gotta peace out." Or maybe Aurene like dies, and then like, because another part of the tagline is the cycle is reborn. So maybe Aurene like dies and re does something, like comes back, like resets itself, or maybe Aurene like gives birth to another. And I don't want to really do that whole story again though, but like maybe she has to sacrifice herself to balance everything, but it like puts another seed, another egg or something. I don't know.
I don't know. There's also one other pathway that this could go, is that Aurene is still with us at the end of this, and she has all the magic, and she becomes like the one true dragon, spirit of the wild thing.
I don't want something that powerful to always be around. So I kind of want that to leave. I want to have a reason to leave.
Maybe she just goes elsewhere and she kind of starts her own little dragon enclave thing that's like not on any map or whatever. She just plops it down in the middle of the endless ocean.
Because I feel like by this time, basically we've been like a parent for Aurene. You can kind of see this as like Aurene reaching adulthood and maturing, and you'd hope that maybe by the end of all this, she can finally leave the nest and totally, truly just be all on her own. I mean, don't really interact with her. Unlike, like, I would love if she like disappears for like a whole expansion or two, and then maybe way down the line when the new plots or whatever, maybe she can come back, or maybe we can seek guidance. But I think her story should end here, or at least like maybe set up the ending and then end it with perhaps next living season, and then like wrap it up and end it. That's
all I'm alluding to is that there's the ending where all the dragons just die, or there's the ending where she and possibly Kunavang survive, they get all the magic, and then they go elsewhere, or there's the other way that's a little bit more obscure. I think a small amount of people have identified as a possibility, is that Aurene's the only one left. She gets all the magic, and then she becomes mother. And then it turns out that all of Tyria is actually just one like supermassive fractal that's in an endless state of repeating every like 10,000, 20,000 or whatever. So millennia.
What do you do with that, though? I mean, I don't necessarily disagree. That's probably not wrong. The way the fractals are set up, everything's a fractal. So, like, I totally can understand that. But what do you do with that plot-wise, character-wise, and play-wise? What? Do we eventually try to break out of the fractal? The game's becoming super meta.
I think that it comes to a situation where, like, maybe that Queen Jenna becomes a part of this, because that situation suggests that humanity is not actually part of the original fractal, because the human gods brought humanity from elsewhere. Right. That's not within this, on this sphere, you could say, and that we're like kind of like the differentiating part of this.
Do you think that will anger people if humans become the centerpiece again, since we're pretty much the centerpiece all the time?
I don't necessarily think it means that the human player character needs to be the centerpiece, but rather that a human needs to be a centerpiece. Maybe that's Queen Jenna, or maybe Casimir, or something.
Yeah.
Some sort of central ally character.
But, yeah, you see the narrative through. Like they're the anchor point. I can understand that.
I only say Queen Jenna because she's just way too powerful to kind of just leave that plot hole there. Like, why is she so freaking powerful?
Magic, the royal magic. I mean, technically, isn't the queen technically a descendant of King Doric? Technically, isn't that how it's supposed to work?
I believe that's like the only like sort of plot connection that.
It's just that bloodline.
So far, that something about that bloodline is supposed to resulted in her becoming incredibly powerful. But then there's some dude in Ebonhawk that's also part of that bloodline.
Oh yeah,
but he's not significant in any way.
Huh. That's interesting. Huh.
Well, it's because King Adalbern is not of the Doric.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I know that. Yeah, he was like voted in or whatever.
Yeah.
From his time in the Guild Wars, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah. But there's some commander dude in Ebonhawk right now who is part of his connected to the bloodline.
Because he's a descendant of the Duke, right? Wasn't the Duke the actual? It was like one of the Dukes.
Yeah, Duke Varidan.
Yeah. He was the actual bloodline. Okay, yeah, I forgot all about that, but yeah, that's right. That could be it. See, that's like the super nerdy Guild Wars 1 family blood tie stuff that like, they're never gonna follow up on that stuff, man.
And the thing is, I wouldn't necessarily be that concerned about all that bloodline stuff, except Queen Jenna in the middle of all this being god tier and no explanation to why.
Well, there's also too. Do you remember it's like a throwaway line in one of like the early seasons about like a magic locket that can detect like the true bloodline? Do you remember
I don't know about that.
Yeah, there's I think it's in season 2, but there's a small segment where they talk about a magic locket that can detect the true like family bloodline, and there's like a small throwaway line in something. But it's a magical MacGuffin that exists.
Was this season 1 or?
No, I think it's season 2. I think it's in season 2.
Season 2.
I'd have to go back and look, or see if I can find a video of Wooden Potatoes talking about it. But yeah, it's a small thing. It's never get followed up on. It's not an actual item you hold or anything. It's just like mentioned by like one of the NPCs or something for some reason or another. Man, I gotta hunt it down, see if I can find it. Or I'll ask Astral. Astral might know too. He's really into the lore and stuff. He might know. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. I hope they do something with it, because yeah, that's a whole wing of questions that could definitely use some answers.
Yeah, there's all sorts of those little plot lines that borderline break the like idea of the power dynamics in the world of Guild Wars 2. That
the power scaling's a little wonk.
And like years back, they were talking about like the frickin' whatever the hell it's called. The floating castle there.
Oh yeah,
Wizard's Tower.
Yeah.
Whatever.
That's another whole thing too. Don't even. I want to go in there. I want to know more about Garenhoff.
And they were talking about like back when like raids were still on the table.
Yeah, right.
And they were talking like there was a guild chat about it where like the developers were kind of like
thinking about the idea,
fighting each other, who wants to be the ones to bring the Wizard's Tower into the game and do like a raid or something with it, and like all the different little teams are fighting to kind of get the go ahead that they get to make it do the thing with the tower. and then we never heard anything more from that.
Yeah.
That was years ago.
Yeah, I hope... like, I don't even do a lot of raids or anything myself, but I think it'd be a great raid. You could tell a pretty good, interesting story, and the way raids are in Guild Wars 2, I feel like they could... I think it'd be good for a raid. But... oh, man. Witch's Tower. So that's all, like... see, that's the thing. It's like, what can they hit after End of Dragons? Like, after End of Dragons is done and the story is completed, I am interested in seeing what storylines they could tell after.
That's what I'm excited about, because we've been on this dragon story for forever, and it's had a few good moments and then all too many not so good moments.
Agreed. So yeah,
and I really hope that going forward, I really want strong, likable characters to kind of stand beside my commander character that I like actually value and enjoy having them on my journeys. Because up until now, I've only had Canuck, and now Canuck's voice has been stolen, so he's not really Canuck anymore, and now I'm very sad.
I understand what they need to do. There needs to be more just readable dialogue. Like, they're not going to get enough voicing to actually make it warrant. So in order to actually, like, really get close to it, I think they need to flesh it out with more just interactable dialogue you can get from reading and interacting and talking and their insights and stuff. Is at least the easiest way to add a little bit more to it, because you're just never going to be able to, at least, well, ArenaNet anyway, is just not going to be able to record enough actual dialogue to get you invested.
Well, they don't have to...
yeah, they don't have to. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying just more.
The problem is, like, I get very little meat out of the dialogue that they throw at me.
Because the dialogue is literally just to tell narrative. It's just to push the narrative along. It's narrative, little bit of joke that you could see coming a mile away and isn't really usually that funny. And then it's narrative. It's just they only have so much budget to voice so much, so all the voiced is narrative. It's just to push the storyline to get to what needs to get to by the end of the episode, because they only have so much budget. So dialogue is used for that. That's why I'm saying I feel like the best option for ArenaNet, at least, is to add more, just like click on them and have a bunch of dialogue boxes and ways to talk and chat and interact and see what they're thinking and how they're feeling, and it's something. Would I prefer all that to be voiced?
No, I don't think that. No, I think it's just that the people writing the dialogue don't know what they're doing all the time.
No, well, that's probably true too, because
here's the thing.
I'm sure
I'm gonna throw everything you're saying about the narrative in the dirt here, is because there's a thing that's not in any way directly connected to the main storyline. Okay, Snargle Goldclaw. Okay.
Right. What about it?
Okay, that is.
You a hater or a fan?
No, I'm all about it. I'm all about it.
Yeah, and it's great.
It was just like a side thing. It's just in the achievement panel. It's not tied into the main story really at all. And he has a whole bunch of voice acting put into him and his little assistant there, and that's like that small amount of like voice acting over the course of that side achievement is more entertaining than everything else than the main thing, because it's got actual like well voiced characters that have a lot of personality put in there, and that was, they didn't need to do that, but yet it's in there. It's all about him and his fan fiction, and it's actually amazing.
You're starting to sound a little fan-y, but I don't disagree. Like, it is great. I've done all the stuff. That's fair, I suppose. I guess my argument there is it's probably easier to get one character or like one or two characters for a segment, rather than characters that you're going to have to be with, like voice actors you're going to need all the time for constantly evolving things. And the fact that this one character can be made sort of in a bubble, irrelevant to the main story, so you can make them do whatever you want. You can give them whatever characteristics you want. You can tell whatever narrative story you want, because it's its own side thing. When it comes to the main cast, not only is there now established backstory you have to honor, but there's also a narrative where these characters need to be in a certain spot at a certain point in the narrative, so they have less freedom to do interesting, cool things like that, because they're railroaded basically, so they can't do that much. That and the fact that it's almost guaranteed from how many times ArenaNet's had layoffs and stuff that multiple people are writing for these characters, which is why they come off inconsistent and not right, because you don't have a writer's vision of a character. You have like 4 different writers over like 10 years writing different like parts of it, and it just ruins it. But you have one character written by like one person for one bubble, and they can do whatever they want. Yeah, it comes off more solid, more defined, because it doesn't have all the bearings and trappings of being a main character. So yeah, that's something I feel like Arena does a lot, is their side characters are some of their best characters. Arena makes fantastic side characters. Palawa Joko, although he became a little more significant, but Palawa Joko or Mad King Thorn, everyone's favorite. I love Mad King Thorn, he's fucking great. But these are like secondary, tertiary characters, and they're the best ones in the freaking game. Ho-Ho-Tron, when that was a thing for a while, he's great, little, side character. That just tends to be how it is. What it comes down to is a lot of writers writing and constantly shifting hands, and then priorities also changing. So even like the end point where these characters need to get is also like not certain. So it also, sometimes they got to meander around, and then you get like no development, or worst case, a regression of development. And I'm not a writer or anything, but I know that the more ideas you have and different interpretations you get, the more muddy you're going to make something. It's just the inevitable truth. Anyway, that's my rant on that.
Well, the thing is, like, some of these characters, it's okay, so they've gone through a couple different writers over time. But the thing is, like, there's like no point over the course of the story where I really, really enjoy the character. Like, sure, they've gotten written differently, but there's no point where they just really seem like, oh yeah, this is a character that I want to kind of have in my little crew here.
I mean, part of that will always come down to personal preferences on what you want, but I don't necessarily agree. Like, I don't hate any character, but I also can't act like I'm like super invested in any of them. Like, I'm not like, it's whatever. They're just characters to me personally. I'm just curious on, like, when it comes to, I agree that it's important and should be better. I don't disagree with you. Like, I also play Final Fantasy 14. That game knows how to make the characters you are with actually matter to you. So I know I have a frame of reference to what I would much rather prefer. I've seen the difference, and I fully agree. Guild Wars 2 is lacking in that regard. I don't argue that. But it's also just like ArenaNet writing, at least in the short scope, when it comes down to like the character dynamics, or just like the small little scenarios, at least, is very Saturday morning cartoon. So it's just kind of characters.
Like it must be modern Saturday morning cartoons, because I remember back when Saturday morning cartoons were good.
Well, just like the characters are just generic nice for the most, but that's why characters like Canuck is actually interesting, because he actually had some shades to him.
He's a dick.
Yeah, sometimes you want that though. Sometimes you want a guy who was just like whistling away while you're fighting undead, and it's just like, oh, I'm already done. What are you doing?
Amongst your team of virtuous individuals, you need at least one conscientious person.
Yeah,
to keep things on the straight course.
Yeah, what I think it is it's not that the characters are bad. It's just that they're too similar. Like Casimir and Marjorie. Like, if it wasn't like one is always naked and is using illusions for clothes, and the other one's a detective. Like, that's all I got for you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with keeping Casimir along, because waiting for that moment where magic fails.
When she gets knocked out.
Yep. And then Marjorie, I wasn't able to play it much during season 1. Because I had military and all that stuff at the time, but
she was interesting in the start, because she was kind of like a noir detective. She like would hunt down questions, and she would try to track things down, and it was like very noir-esque. She was a detective, and it actually felt that way, and she would like go to the dead-end bar, which is still a place in the game now that serves no purpose, but you would go to the bar with her, and she would like talk with you in like this shadowy lit room and discuss like clues and theories and stuff, and like she started off great, and then eventually she's just sort of like flattened out, and it's now just, I don't know, the necromancer with a sword.
Yeah.
She doesn't really do much. She had that scene in like season 3 where she was like, I'm gonna go investigate Lazarus, and we're like, don't do that, and she's like, you can't tell me what to do, and then like nothing happens, and then later she's like, oh yeah, by the way, he's on his way. Like, I don't know, it's just not much happens. She doesn't, and then what? I don't even know what she does in Path of Fire.
She's not in Pathfire.
Yeah, so what is she? No, isn't she like? Is she seeing her family or something?
No, she's just not there.
What is she doing in
Nothing.
lore? She has to be doing something in lore.
She's not doing anything at all.
She just, so yeah, Casper's like, okay, I'm having a crisis of faith, but I'm gonna go with the commander down to go fight a god, and she's just like, alright.
And Marjorie's like, I gotta find myself.
Yeah, wait, for what though? Why? When?
For no reason whatsoever.
Isn't she just mad because, like, I don't even know. And then it's one of those things too where it's like, is she over the death of her sister? Because we never really got any closure on that.
No, this is what you get when you have. I'm not gonna go there.
Yeah, I know. And then what I'm saying is I agree with you. It's just that the characters are not the strong suit of the game. They are an accessory.
No, the only strong suit of this game that it's got is the combat system, the mounts, and fashion wars. That's it.
Yeah, the controls of the game is really good. The game controls super good. Fact.
And it's got really nice
great.
art. It's got nice art. Got nice art.
Yeah, it's funny.
Looks pretty.
Moving around and looking pretty are the two best things of the game, and my favorite thing to do is map explore. Wow, it's like my favorite thing to do in the game is combining the two best parts of the game. But that's just my personal feelings on it. I mean, I like narrative, but I guess it's more just like, what's next? I guess it's like junk food. It's like I'm eating it, and I'm not really happy that I'm eating it, but I like it, so I'm just like, okay, what's next? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because I am curious. I do want to see. I want to know. I'm not like literally not caring in a sense where I don't care in an emotional sense. I just care out of curiosity. I guess it's the best way to explain it.
I guess what I really want out of Guild Wars 2 going forward is a true sort of questing experience out of the game.
I would fully agree. I would love an actual quest log.
Yeah, the best quest in the game is Shukin Shop 1.
Oh, agreed.
Yeah. There's a few other things that over the years they've sort of also forced into the achievements panel that kind of creates that experience, but it's few and far between, and Oh
yeah. See, the thing is, like, I feel like ArenaNet could do these things better if they just sat down and just focused on doing it. I'm hoping, and the big thing I'm hoping now, finally, that after everything that's happened and with new leadership and all the layoffs and all the stuff, hopefully they get a rhythm and they can actually just be consistent and do good. You don't need to change the wheel every time. You don't need to keep trying to shake up your monetization methods. Just be consistent, do it good, and just get a rhythm going. Because like, fuck, man.
Well, what I'm really hoping is that with the after COVID having wreaked havoc and everything, that they've gotten their house in order. They've kind of fully set up the internal sort of
philosophies.
That what am I trying to say here? The the systems in which enable them to have employees working remotely and being able to deliver high quality work. so that they can reach a wider audience, or sorry, a wider sort of employee base that they can
Draw from.
acquire and draw from. Because my understanding is that things weren't cheap out there where their offices are at, which means that, if someone took a job at ArenaNet, you know, they were getting paid minimally within the area and the industry.
I get you.
However, if they can work remotely, set up, each
Yeah,
employee can set up their shop in a smaller town that's, more satellite to that Bellevue, Washington area, then they can, live comfortably on the wages that they can get from ArenaNet.
I get you. Yeah.
And which means that they can maybe get
Yeah, you can pay for hire
better,
and get better.
yeah,
Yeah, I
get
get you.
better talent and get talent that's willing to stick around with a company longer. And with how MMOs are back in the main
Consciousness.
sort of main consciousness right now, that they're getting more people playing the game, bringing in more money, which means they can pay the people more, and they can live in a more frugal manner.
I can understand that. Yeah, it'd be good for everybody. So yeah, I can understand that. Hopefully, yeah. So
So I'm telling you that, all those things come together, which means that they can make a better product, and then they can kind of shore up these weaknesses in the product.
that would be awesome. We can only hope. We'll see. It will really be 2020 2022, the rest of this year and like half of next year is really going to be a big like time for ArenaNet. Really see what they do and what the next steps is. Like, I know Teapot has mentioned this and a bunch of, I'm not the first one obviously bringing it up, but like as exciting as End of Dragons is, what's also really exciting is what happens after it. So
post-dragon stories,
post-dragon story,
where's that gonna go?
and a new ArenaNet like setup and leadership and everything. Yeah, so we'll see. We'll have to see.
Speaking of the leadership, where has Big Smiley gone?
He's just.
We saw him once, and now where is he now?
Hopefully busy working. Yeah, he's like part owner, isn't he? So now he's busy. He's a busy boy.
Or allegedly, because that's all. You only saw him that one time.
Yeah, I
he's
think
part of the leadership owner, whatever the heck now.
Yeah, I think he's one of. I think
he disappeared.
I think it's two people. I think it's a co-ownership right now.
I thought it was three.
Maybe it's three. Is it back to three? I know the original. It would be funny if it's three, because like the original arena.
Because I know it's Grouch, and then it's Colin, and then there was one other person. I don't know if it was CMC or not.
I don't know. Don't know.
I don't think it was CMC. That'd be really cool if it was CMC though, because CMC's,
like
he's
CMC.
a Chad.
Yeah, people like.
He's among the devs. He's a Chad.
Yeah, that's cool. Let's see. The Masteries. So we have the Masteries in this one. A lot of them. I don't know. How do you feel about like fishing in the skiffs? First of all, they kind of go together, so I'm gonna say those two first. I personally, I don't mind them, but I like it's not. I'll get them. I'll do them. I don't expect myself to spend a lot of money on skiff skins by any means. So I might find one skin I like and be like, all right, that's fine, and then. So you're not gonna get much money out of me on the skiff skins if that's a thing that's gonna happen. Fishing is all right. I already do a lot of dual screening, like watching stuff or doing stuff while I'm also on Guild Wars 2. So like the fishing will be fun for a month or however long it takes me to finish it. But then I can't imagine.
I hope fishing stays as a current aspect of things that I'm going to be doing. I hope so.
I'm sure it will probably be part of the new legendary weapon collections, right?
It's already been confirmed.
Yeah, okay.
I hope that it remains as a current, like a concurring thing that I include in my gameplay, just like all the other gathering.
Okay. So you want to see it more like a gathering thing, where it's just like whenever you see like a watering hole, you're like, oh, one sec, gotta quickly fish.
Oh, there's some fishies there. I gotta get a fishy.
Let me get a fish. Got a fish. And that's fine. Yeah, if it's just like one more resource to gather that isn't. I know it has that little mini game, but like I don't know.
So it's gonna make it a little bit more complicated than just being able to fish while you've got your watching something on your second screen because you actually have to dedicate some brain power to what you're doing when you're fishing.
Yeah, well, I have to actually play to see how much that actually requires. If it's too simple, then it won't really be that. It'll become muscle memory. It depends on. Well, again,
Because you have
we'll
to
have to see.
actually look at it and match the thing up with the thing every
Yeah,
time it goes back and forth.
yeah, but if you get good, you can just do that with peripheral. That's not that hard. It really comes down to how complex it really is. I'd have to actually see it to actually know. We'll find out. Do you think? Did they say we're getting like another slot for fishing pole?
Yeah, you already have it on your bar.
Yeah, it's on the left side, right?
Yeah, it's on the left side below the weapon swap.
Do you think
Because
they're gonna set? Is that is it a stat? Like, is in a fishing?
I
Is
don't
there
believe so.
quality?
It's going to be kind of like one of your on the right side your novelties.
So
So
yeah.
it's just a thing. It's not going to have stats.
So do you
I
think
mean,
those?
maybe it will have stats. Something that augments your fishing in some way, but I don't think so.
Because if it's if it was like gathering, it could be just like the picks and stuff, where it's like,
Yeah,
oh, shitty pick, better pick, even better pick, infinite pick.
I don't think that's going to have that. Maybe you can put glyphs in it or something.
Gather
Maybe,
other stuff. Yeah, maybe.
maybe, but I don't
There's
think
probably
so. I think it's
the
just going to be like
augmentations are probably in the
one of your
Jade Bot.
novelties. I think it's just going to be like a novelty.
Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, you slot it in. Do you think they'll sell skins?
Absolutely.
My feeling is like, how would they? How many ways can you skin a fishing pole though?
A lot of ways. Did you not do fishing in World of Warcraft?
Yeah, and there's like dinky ones, and then there's like definitely like higher quality ones with an actual reel and stuff. But like, I don't know.
Did you ever get the legendary fishing pole during Legion?
No, I don't think so.
I did. That thing was nuts.
What? I'd have to look it up.
Dude, it's a big ass freaking what do you call it? It's a big Murloc skeleton with
For a
a
fishing?
little like one of those little angler tentacles that comes out of its forehead.
Okay.
It has little arms that you kind of like move when you move your character around because they've got physics attached to them. It was freaking nutty pole. It was a nutty pole.
The only one the fanciest one I ever got was a fishing pole for like Wrath of the Lich King that let for underwater breathing.
Yeah, the Caloac one. Yeah,
Yeah,
I have that one. I have that one too.
Yeah, that was the one I had. I just like kept that one so I could breathe underwater, but that was about it.
But we can already breathe underwater here in Guild Wars 2. So
Science, which is honestly in World of Warcraft, they could probably do the same thing. I think the technology is there. They just don't. But anyway, yeah. So I don't know. I'm curious to see how the fishing will be. As long as every time they add new like stuff, they just make fishing a part of it again. Then you can always bring it back. You can make fishing. You can always make it relevant if you wanted to.
Yeah, and I don't have a problem with skiffs.
No, I think it'd be interesting. I mean, they'll probably be, good for Cantha by design because that's what they're made for. But I just don't see. I don't really know how practical they'll be in a lot of central tier maps.
Well, the thing is, it's an underwater mount that serves a very very specific purpose. Whereas, like the people want to compare it to the skimmer. The skimmer is just general movement, and that's it.
Agreed.
It doesn't do anything else. It's like a majority of the other mounts. It takes you from point A to point B, but it can go underwater. So that's the benefit to that one.
Right. Like I do know, like they were saying about how you can. The cool thing about the skiffs is since you can anchor them and make them actual platforms.
Yeah,
they could
it serves a very specific purpose.
Yeah, they could do so. I don't expect. I do expect some pretty cool fights using that type of stuff and being smart about it. I just like. I can see how all this stuff going forward can be useful. I just don't know how useful skiffs will be in content that already exists. If the world isn't made with it in mind, I don't know how backwards compatible the skiffs are. Is basically. Other than fun, which don't get me wrong, just sometimes surfing around is valuable.
It could help with one of the triple troubles, the one where you have to do the jumping puzzle to get the things to bring it back to the place.
Okay, you just make a bridge on the boat.
Yeah, you just make a bridge of skiffs, and then like the jumping puzzle is way easier for jumping, problemed people.
There you go. I know. It may be faster speed run it or some shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's not a bad
they're
idea.
few and far between, but there are things you could do with
Use-
it to help out with Corteria.
That's cool. I do like that idea though. That's always interesting. All right. What was it? The Arborstone revitalization. That's how do you feel about that?
It's just
It's just
a
fluff.
It sounds to me like it's just a copy pasta of
Sunspear.
What's it called? Yeah, the Sunsphere, whatever they call it, Sunsphere Refuge, or the Eye of the North.
Yeah, it's like a combination of those. It's just mostly fluff. It's fun. It's world building. It's world building and fluff and like a sense of a visual sense of progression rather than a like active form. I guess does that make sense? It's something.
Yeah,
it's something you can look at and visually see is it growing and is evolving around you. But it's one of those things where you only get to enjoy that once on your entire account, and it's neat. I guess it's neat. I don't know. I'm not I'm not like mad, but
yeah, it's there. It's a thing I'll do. But it'll be something I probably do after other masteries because it's not going to immediately serve me well unless there's something in there attached to it that I really freaking want.
What if they probably won't, because I don't think maybe they didn't like Hot. Do you think they'll gate anything? Like I could see like in order to continue the story, get Arborstone Mastery to level 2.
I mean, I could see them doing it. And I personally would not have a problem with that.
Same. I agree.
But me having been in this game for 9 freaking, are we coming up on 10 years?
Yeah.
In like a few months or something, whatever. Having been with this game, I know how the community is going to react if that happens.
I know. They would.
Like, oh
my god! Yeah. I know. I personally would like it because I like that type of thing where it's like, no, go do some content. You can't continue. You need to do some stuff first. Make this a certain thing so you can progress the story. I personally like that. I have nothing against that. I think you get more out of your game time when you do that, rather than making it so that you can just shot and just get the whole thing. Because then you never win, because what happens if you stretch it out with the gates a little bit, people complain they have to do the gates. But then if you don't do the gates and you let everyone just rush to the end, they'll be like, oh, I finished the game too fast, short game, 2 out of 10, trash. Because they fucking just sucker the whole thing down in no time and don't even...
whichever way Arena goes with it, they've done 2 expansions. They've done what is it? 5 seasons of Living World. Hopefully they've looked at the metrics of like their retention of players after each major release of content. And they kind of know which way to go with whichever is going to keep most people with the game longest.
Mm-hmm. Hell, I might even just do it myself, where if they don't gate it, I might just gate it myself and be like, you know what, I'm going to level this up 1 before I go do that.
Yeah, I'm going to take it slow too with this. I'm not going to rush to the end.
I've waited like 5 years. It's been like 5 years since Path of Fire.
I've got full legendary gear now. It's like I don't have any reason to
rush
to rush to get anything.
Yeah, just enjoy the ride. That's what these games do best, is if you just enjoy and go slow and like look and enjoy. Don't just suck it all down, because you will get disappointed. I feel like that's not the way Guild Wars 2 is designed to be played. It's just, like, I guess there's no wrong way to play, but like there is a suboptimal way.
I mean, I could be tempted to rush if I see something that I need to go to get that now, because like back when, after Path of Fire released, and then like I saw the very first Griffin mount fly by, I was like, wait, what?
I know
what was that?
dude.
I was like, okay, I can immediately complete the game as quickly as possible so I can go figure out how to get that thing.
I don't even know how. I don't remember how I found out about the griffins. I really don't remember. I thought it was cool as fuck, but I don't remember the moment I was like, "Oh, there's another mount." It's been so long.
it was in the leaks, the original leaks.
I remember the original leaks, but I don't remember the.
Maybe Griffin was listed there.
Maybe
in it,
then,
but
yeah,
then
then maybe I knew it
they
all the
did
time.
absolutely no advertisement for it whatsoever. They just buried their advertisement
which was
cycle
smart.
in the
I think
other
that was
four,
cool.
and just didn't acknowledge that one ever existed. And so people figured, oh well, maybe it was something that they were going to plan on, but it ended up working out. And they decided to just
or they're
not
like,
do
oh,
it.
maybe they'll add it to Living World after, or something.
Yep.
Like, but I forgot about the leaks because I knew about the leaks. I knew about that. The leaks generated more hype than the internet did. I remember that. Yeah, so I guess maybe that's why. I just known about the Griffin friggin' forever, and that's why I don't remember a specific moment because I've known about it for so long. Yeah. Do you think End of Dragons will have anything similar? I'm not really banking on it. I don't think they have to, by the way. Will it be cool? Yes, but I don't think they have to.
Maybe I don't really know. It's kind of a weird situation where either way I don't really know, nor do I particularly care until I see something.
See something, right? Like you can't. It's nothing lost if it wasn't there. But yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. Again, I'm not saying they have to or like it's a big disappointment if they don't. I honestly like as cool as that stuff is, that shine washes off, and eventually you just have to have a good core product. You know what I mean? Like that ultimately matters more. So like I'm the type of person where like I would take an expansion that is less on features and just more content. Like I would totally be fine with that myself. Like it's whatever. Like if they wanted to bust out a new expansion way sooner, but they're like, sorry, but we don't have elite specs in this one, I would be fine with that. If it meant like 6 maps instead of 4. But that's just my personal wish, not wish fulfillment, but that's my own personal.
I don't really care how many maps they add, so long as there's a huge amount of thoroughly, richly filled content space,
stuff to do with the maps. I get you. Well, I assume when I imply maps, I assume useful maps that actually have stuff.
Yeah, like I want a map that's as big as,
or even just more endgame. Like I would take no elite specs, but 3 new fractals upon release.
We don't even know if they're gonna make more fractals.
I know, but I'm just saying as an example, I would take things like new masteries or new other stuff away if it just means you can just get literally more content. I know technically like masteries are content and I everything is content. I get that. Like if you want to zoom all the way out, every fucking thing is content and therefore nothing fucking matters because there's always content. But that's not what I'm trying to say. I get rid of the feature content, the masteries or the elite specs, and instead just get more meta maps or raids or we're getting the strikes, but strikes or fractals, like just more actual repeatably things that you do all the time, if that makes any sense. I would prioritize that over needing new features and stuff, but that's just me personally. I don't know how the numbers pop up, of course, but
yeah, I mean they're spreading out the Mystic Clovers to all 3 major endgame PvE game types, so I'll be doing more of all the game types now.
You would think like that sounds, at least from the outside, and good incentive to get people to spread out, and then now you have an incentive to make more content spread out because you have people spread out to do them all the time. Looks like the groundwork for potentially more stuff for other content. Potentially.
I mean, you hope.
Yeah.
You freaking hope.
Exactly. You would hope. You would hope. But so there's all right. Let's see. What was another one of the next masteries? We have, what else is there? There's the Siege Turtle, which I mean, I love siege turtles. It's cool. I don't really know how much I'm really going to use it.
It's as long as they give a lot of meaningful things to do with the turtle. I'm all about turtle. I am a turtle lover.
I mean, I am too. Luxon for life. Don't worry about it. I love me some siege turtle, but I like, and I love to see what people do with it. And I'm glad. Like, I know there's some people who that's their favorite thing, and that's what gets them excited. And that's cool. That's great. Me personally, like, I played it during the beta, and I know the beta technically is without the masteries, so it might be even better once we have all the masteries unlocked for it too. But like, I don't see myself ever really using it. Plus, I tend to play alone, so I have even less of a reason to use it. Unless, again, like you said, unless there's events where it's like, oh, siege this wall, and you must use, need siege turtle. Vulnerable to siege turtle.
But then that means you need another human being.
Yeah, so I already lost.
This means you need to be a social gamer.
Oh no, not in my MMO. That's horrible.
You'll have to learn how to make friends.
Nah, nobody will talk. Everyone will just press F and then press spam 1, and nobody will talk.
Yes and no.
Time will tell. Honestly, it comes down to how much they make it a thing, like how important it actually is. I kind of like, since the turtle just sinks to the bottom, I would love some type of reason to use the turtle and go deep underwater. Like, I hope there's
amphibious turtle gaming.
Well, like, yes, it would be interesting if they're like, their heavy water currents are blowing you back up, and like you can't swim down because you don't weigh enough. But if you switch to turtle, it can't push the turtle, so the turtle can fall all the way down, and that way you have to ride your turtle to get to like certain areas that the current would just push you away otherwise.
I don't know that. One thing I find kind of weird about with the turtle is that in order to like regain your ammunition, you have to move around with the turtle.
Yeah,
and people are saying that, oh well, you're gonna have boss fights where everyone is just Tokyo drifting around a boss in a circle, shooting with cannons.
I bet that will definitely be, at least if not an intended mechanic, at least a side effect. Like, if there isn't a boss that has that as its actual fight mechanic, if there's space, you can guarantee people will probably do it.
And I gotta wonder, like, let's say you got your brand new Peepo GW2 player just installed the game, took his level 80 boost and went straight to Cantha, and then he walks into the world and then he just sees some big badass boss, and there's a bunch of turtles just sliding around it, shooting it. I gotta wonder what's gonna go through that Peepo's head.
Yeah, and then he looks at the people on the turtles, and they're all glowing neon signs. So it's a bunch
of what game is this that I just logged into?
Yeah, a bunch of glowing neon signs with planets orbiting them, riding on giant turtles, shooting Jade at a giant monster while Tokyo drifting around in circles. Guild Wars 2 Endgame, man. Fantastic. Yeah, that will probably happen. I'm curious to see. Again, for myself, I don't expect myself to use it, although I am looking forward to, like, apparently raising a baby turtle. And as a fellow ranger myself, as a fellow ranger, myself, whatever, we can tame baby turtle. Turtle's one of the pets.
Yeah, I gotta wonder what it does.
Yeah, it's probably some defensive thing, I'd imagine. It's standard, stereotypical defense turtle.
It's supposed to be a baby siege turtle. Does that mean it's gonna have a baby cannon on it?
Oh man, that would be so adorable. Oh my god, I would have to use it just because. And as a soul beast, so I wonder what it does. Can I shoot Jade? I would love a move where I could just like throw a hunk of fucking Jade. That'd be so great. Yeah. Oh man. So that's
maybe you'll be able to do a kind of like a Kamehameha. Like Jade green thing. Energy blast.
Yeah, that'd be so cool. I'd be down. I'd have to just be Soul Beast Siege Turtle for all eternity now, so I can Kamehameha on command. Let's see, what other masteries? And then there's I think the last one, right, is the Jade Bot. Good old Jade Bot Mastery. I'm interested in this one.
Yeah, we've only seen a very limited amount of what it really
does.
what they're really going to do with it. It seems like the mastery that augments other masteries.
It basically is what it looks like. But like, did you see the live stream where they talked about it and they showed it off?
Yeah, it's not really so much a mini that follows you around. It's just it's all done through skill effects.
Yeah, I know that part. But I like the fact that it has different. I like the fact that it has upgrades. It kind of it's another sense of progression. It's another thing that you can progress and upgrade and make a little bit better. It probably won't be very hard. I mean, apparently you can buy pretty much everything you need. But I like the idea of like min-maxing and getting the stuff and like finding out which augmentation's best for you and then getting the best quality one and getting the best power core and all that. I like, as someone who likes is a fan of the traditional MMO like leveling up and stuff experience, and I like number go up. It's like a bit. I'm a fan of number go up. So even though I love Guild Wars 2 and I respect that it doesn't do those things, whenever you do get a general chance to upgrade something and feel a small sense of progression like that, I really dig it. So like I'm pretty like into the Jade Bot. I like it. I'm looking forward to upgrading that bad boy and getting better power cores and slapping them in and whatnot. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, did they say if jewel crafting was having any interaction with that?
I believe they did. They didn't say. I believe they didn't say that it's being upgraded to 500, but they did. I do believe they said that it will be crafted by jewelers. So if what they could do is maybe they have all the normal power cores and all the normal stuff crafted by jewelers at 400. Then later they add 500 jeweling and they can craft maybe legendary power cores or legendary whatevers for your Jade Bot. So then once you get that, you can customize your Jade Bot however you want, but forever with just the legendary thing. You know what I mean? Yeah, that would be the smart way to do it. And then that way you also add 500 jewel crafting and make that valuable. And then you also add another legendary item for people to go for, which is also always a good thing, I think. And then you can customize the bot. And then once you have a legendary thing for your bot, you can just customize your bot for whatever situation you need, no problem. Yeah. I think
legendary gaming.
Yeah, I think that would be the way. I don't have full legendary, not yet, but who knows? Maybe eventually. I am doing raids now, so who knows? But I think legendaries are a great end game goal. I'm the type of person who would be like, legendary everything. Give us like 35 slot legendary bags that you can change the property of the bag.
Oh, that's too OP.
Do it. Even if you can only wear one. It's a legendary bag. You can only have one legendary bag because this is a legendary and it's unique and you can't have two. Or whatever. But give me a legendary bag, damn it. You can even have a skin that gets unlocked, like a back skin that comes with it when you unlock it. So when you
that no one else can see. Just yourself.
just yourself. Yeah, just yourself if you want it. I don't know what it would look like. I don't know if it'd just be like a big backpack or something, but... Bag of holding. The infinite bag of... Not infinite bag of holding, but yeah. I don't know. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the Jade Bot. I think it looks cool. I like the idea of the grinding platform transportation thing. It gave me the vibe of the riding on that platform gave me the very strong similar vibes to fighting Malagos in Wrath of the Lich King, where you could ride around on those little platforms. You remember what I'm talking about?
Oh wait, which fight are you talking about?
In Wrath of the Lich King, Malagos, the blue dragon.
Oh, with the disc, yeah.
Yeah, I got strong of those vibes. I know they're technically tethered to a thing, but I always like the idea of moving around on a platform and moving in 3 dimensions.
Which fight are you talking about though?
The Jade Bot has one of the masteries where you make a platform you can ride. Like you grind on the things. Did you see it? The Jade Bot?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was just saying, it gave me those type of vibes of riding on a platform from Malagos. I know it's not free, like in Malagos, where you can just literally move around free, but that was the first thing that came to my mind. The Malagos fight in World of Warcraft is probably one of my favorite fights. I just really like it. I think it's just a really cool fight. So any type of riding on a platform is always pretty cool to me. So I'm curious to see, like, if maybe you can only access certain areas. Like, maybe it's so high up you can't even get up there with your sky scale, and you have to ride on a thing or whatever. I'm curious to see. I
I think it's less about that. It's more it's the most fast and efficient way to get between 2 points of
2 points
interest.
of, yeah, point to the city or something. It'd be curious to see. Like, I know we've seen some of the maps, but very little. I'm curious to see like
It's
how deep they are, because we already know that ArenaNet can make deeper maps than they can wide.
okay, I guess. What I really hope is that like
You have very multiple
caning is going to be like a tangled depths
on steroids. I want it to be
that's as big as like Crystal
desolate.
Oasis.
Give me desolation-sized tangled depths. I want it to be. I want it to be hell. I want everyone to hate it. I want to be your first time going through Kaining with no masteries. I want you to want to fucking kill yourself. That's how bad I want it to be. I want it to be. I like the difficulties of navigation. So I like being like, wow, I don't know where I am. I'm in a big city. I'm lost. I'm scared. Somebody hold me. Like, I want that feeling.
I mean, I really hope we get that.
Because, well, once you get your masteries, you get to pass all of that, and you get that feeling of like, wow, now I own this city now. I run New York. I run New Kaining. I run this city because now you have all your masteries, and you're just like friggin' zipping across the city and not giving a crap, and just like.
I mean, I really hope that they do that. It's just that with how whiny the player base is,
I know. I'm lost.
I mean, it's been like what 6-7 years since Heart of Thorns was released, and people are still bitching about any time that they're trying to do an achievement or whatever, get a legendary, and they're like, oh no, I have to go to Tangled Depths. Oh no, I'm
It's
never gonna
not
get this
that
done.
bad.
No.
It's more than the regular. The thing is, like, it's only rough because of comparison. But it's really not that bad if you just take a second to friggin' think and plot and use the friggin' Nuok wallows and stuff. But people are just people will always whine first. It's easy to whine. It's just the inevitable truth. People like to whine. But yeah, I agree. I'm assuming it probably won't be too difficult to. I mean, it's a lot hard to make anything difficult now with sky scale. You know, whenever you're trapped, just go up until you find sky. But yeah, I'm honestly gonna try to use my sky scale little. I'd rather walk around and just explore and not try to just fly from point to point. Hell, I would have been fine if they like made it so I couldn't use my new mount. Like, if I was stuck with just Raptor, I'd be fine with that. You can lock me out. I'm the type of player who's like, I don't mind if you have to gate stuff and lock me out of stuff and let me unlock the ability. Like, I never minded that. I know I'm not the average player base though, and I know a lot of people would hate that and complain and whine. But like, I personally would be like, it's fine with me. You can easily make it in the lore reason. They just be like, no, whoa, we don't know who you are. We don't want you fucking flying around in Dragon. What the fuck? And you just can't.
I don't know. I think that World of Warcraft did it best back in Wrath of Lich King, where
yeah, some weather condition or something.
You had to unlock it. You got to unlock it like near level, the max level of that expansion with, and then there was 2 more zones after that point that basically required you to have a flying mount or you couldn't get around.
Yeah, and because of that, it gives you a sense of progression. Whoa, the thing I love so much. But people will sacrifice that feeling of gradual growth for immediate satisfaction. Every time. Makes me sad. Sad boy. What else does the thing do? It's not a revive. It helps you when you're down. It's like a down. It's like a pet down skill.
It's just like a more powerful version of bandage.
Yeah, it just like heals you for more, right? While you're down.
Yeah, it replaces your bandage skill.
And then what else?
And then you get 1 use of it, and then if that fails, you're screwed.
Yeah, you're on hold. Unless you're a ranger and you have the best down skill.
It's got like, I don't know how long they said. 10-minute cooldown or something on that.
Yeah, I think it's like 10-minute by default, and then you can get an augmentation to make it like 6 minutes. Yeah, the augmentations will be interesting because then you change them depending on what you'll need. You should never want the more res one because that means you're dying a lot, so that should not be one you want. But that's just me. You should just try not to die.
I mean, as a ranger, you don't really need it.
I know. Ranger's the best. Rangers lead the way. But yeah, I don't. And then what else is it? Then it is you get extra loot. You can get kill monsters and get you extra leather or extra wood or whatever. It's just some minor perks, which I kind of like. It's another way to give. It's like getting stronger without actually just necessarily hitting harder. So just another way to make your characters seem like they've been on an adventure, I guess, and get more growth.
I like it. It's the mastery that augments other masteries. And I think that's
honestly the easiest way to sum it up.
Going forward, it means that with each new mastery that they add to the game in the future, they can add another thing onto the Jade bots. Theoretically,
I know the Jade bots are like 90% skill effects, but do you think they'll sell skins? And I guess
no. They pretty much said that they're not going to because it's a skill effect.
You could just update the skill effects.
You could do that. I mean, because they do that with legendary items. They update the projectile effects.
It's just you just change fancify the effect. It's kind of like buying a mail carrier.
Yeah, but they acted like that's not really good.
Not they're leaning on the skiffs and fishing poles. You think?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much every new thing that has any type of visual attached to it, players have been like, "You're gonna give us skins for it?"
I mean, well, I know some people probably say that in an assholey tone. But I just say it as in I understand.
No, I haven't heard anyone say it in like an assholey tone, like, "Oh, you're gonna try to sell us skins for that, milk us." No, everyone's just like, "I want skins for it because the base version is too plain for me. I need fancy versions."
Well, the way I see it, it makes sense. The way they operate, and it makes sense to me. You make content, and then you find
totally
a way to monetize.
It totally makes sense. It's just that there's been a multitude of things that they've previewed for this expansion, and people one of the first things people say is skins for that.
Yeah, I mean, they've done a good job.
Oh, here's your Gunblade Samurai spec warriors. Can I skin that sword? It looks like shit.
Yeah, I mean, well, they might. If they maybe, probably not. Let's be real, probably not. But maybe if you do the whole the entire elite spec collection line, maybe you get a skin for it.
They might do that, but the thing is that it's like the exact same situation with basically all of Engineer, where all of Engineer's kits look like shit nowadays, and even with the Photon Forge, like people didn't complain about the Photon Forge because the Photon Forge has some kind of extremely crazy visuals going on with it, and no one ever complained about it because it's big and flashy. But Warrior gets this whole new thing, and it doesn't look that terribly flashy, and people are kind of PO'd about that, and they want skins for it.
Right, because it's like you got I get it, because it's the defining feature of the elite spec, so you're basically using this if you're going to be on that spec. And that's their only option. I can understand it. Plus, in this type of game, the community has been bred to be like so much customization, so that when you put something like that on somebody, they get, I don't know, they feel restricted and they want their skins. I get it.
It's kind of difficult to tell someone, "Oh yeah, you got your warrior and you're wielding eternity and you're the whole daytime sky is your blade, and but here, take this."
But just take this. I mean, maybe they could do something where if you have a legendary equipped, maybe the skin changes.
It's only going to affect the projectiles.
Well, I mean, better than nothing, I guess. Oh well. I mean, I'm still gonna play. That's the second one I'm gonna play. Is Bladesworn. The second playthrough of the thing. That's the one I'm gonna use. I'm weeb trash. I'm totally down for fucking blade, fucking katana, gunblade, kapow slash, dragon slash, y'all. I'm totally down. Fuck it. Yeah, hell. Speaking about elite specs, that's the next thing on the topic. So let's talk. What's your favorite elite spec out of all the ones added? Thematically. First, we'll do thematically.
Engineer.
Yeah, you like the
Mechanist.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it is pretty fucking cool, and the fact that it like changes how it looks when you pick different traits. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's just I think it's going to replace Alacrity Renegade.
Yeah, or at least be another option instead of being forced.
Well, like Alacrity Renegade has a little bit more access to stability, a little bit more. But other than that, like Engineer has a whole host of different CC abilities. It pushes out insane amounts of barrier. I mean, it puts the amount of barrier it puts Scourge to shame.
Really? That's pretty nuts.
Yeah. And it puts out a huge amount of boons, almost all the boons.
Do you think it will survive in strikes and raids and stuff? Or will it just get
like hell yeah.
Yeah?
No, it'll do fine.
Well, I mean, if it works and it's and relatively passive, nothing wrong with that, I guess.
The only thing it might be a little bit difficult on is fights that change location frequently.
Okay. Like the tower?
Because that means you have to be a good enough player to be able to manage your pet.
Or you got to micromanage your pet, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, so you have to be constantly kind of making sure that it's with you, going here and there. So it's an extra entity that you have to manage. But if you're really good at doing that and paying attention, then it really carries hard. It puts out so much barrier. So it very easily compensates for other people's lack of ability.
Makes sense. That's fair. Yeah, it's definitely a cool one. If I'm really thinking about it, trying to think of all the elite specs, I might have to go with Bladesworn. I really do like the Gunblade. I really like the idea of big damage, big slashy. I did like the fact that, at least spiritually at least, that we got the Untamed with the hammer and the pet and doing damage, knockdowns and all that. The little sort of wink nod to Bunny Thumper in Guild Wars 1. I am glad they did that. I don't particularly care for how it came out. I didn't really care for how it played, but I'm glad that they at least did that idea. That's what I was wanting, so I can't be too bitchy.
Yeah, I'm interested. I'm looking forward to doing some PvP World v World with it.
Just trying to
I don't really expect to do much PvE with it.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't look very PvE.
I thought you couldn't. It's just
you can PvE with your face in your keyboard and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Well, if we're talking about open world PvE, at least, just generic running around. I mean, I don't know. It might have its place. We'll see.
I like high end PvP or PvE. I don't really see it pumping during raids or fractals.
Yeah.
Or strikes. So I don't think it doesn't have that pump ability.
Makes sense. Yeah, it didn't. It wasn't really. And again, I don't know. And I just didn't really like how it handled. But I'm also very picky. Once I find a way to handle, once I have a certain way of handling a character, that's sort of how I like to do it. So.
Oh no! Another one I was really looking forward to is the new Renegade, whatever they call it.
Vindicator.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
I do like the big jump is cool, and I like the dual champion chant, whatever you want to call it. I forget.
I don't really care about the dual champion thing. You'd basically just be on freaking Luxon the whole time.
Yeah, because Lux is the best. Luxon.
Oh, but I definitely see hammer, greatsword, revenants being a big thing, particularly in World v World squads.
They needed a greatsword. I'm glad they got one.
Because they're gonna get the big ranged boom with the hammer, and then once you break through the ranks, you're gonna switch to freaking greatsword and bounce around.
Another one I really liked, again, just mostly in concept and stuff. I like the Virtuoso because I like the idea of the floating blades in like hurling magic blades at people. I think it's pretty cool concept wise. I don't know how it actually. It seems pretty straightforward for at least for a Mesmer. Just like stack things, shoot things, kill things.
It's just I think for PVE, it's gonna be a better Mesmer.
That's what it looks like. Just good, just more damage, less things to worry about.
Oh yeah, because you're not going to lose everything you've built up every time something dies.
Yeah, that's helpful.
So I think it's going to be. Might not. I don't know if it'll see as much in PvP. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. And throughout general PvE, I think you'll see a lot of it because you always have your blades available.
Yeah, definitely good. Which one what elite spec is your least favorite or least interesting? Catalyst.
Catalyst. Yeah. I didn't even look at Catalyst.
Catalyst looks boring as hell.
But maybe it'll be good because I know that they've done changes to it or something. I haven't really been following it that hard.
It might be functionally fine, but thematically and stuff, it just sounds boring as fuck. It's not really interesting to me. Just like orb elements. It's just like something that they already do, except now they need an orb thing to do it. I don't know. It's not something cool like weaving multiple together or powering up one so much that it reaches critical mass. Instead, it's just like here's elements like you all normally have, but now it's in a ball. Like I don't know. It's not, again, practicality might be useful, but thematically it's not really interesting to me. Not really feeling it.
Yeah. Another one was Willbender.
Willbender, yeah, it's like I like the animations and I like the idea, I guess, of zipping around. And being really quick and doing cool moves and stuff. And I like the names of the traits are super cool, like Phoenix Protocol. Like they got some cool trait names.
Reversal of Fortune.
Yeah, they Reversal of Fortune. That's a Guild Wars 1 spell, yeah.
Yeah, it was a kind of like a
protection thing.
Like a core protection spell that you pretty much you'd always have Reversal of Fortune on there because it's super quick, super effective.
Yeah. So like I did like a lot of at least I liked how the idea. I guess I like the idea. It didn't seem that practical though. But I don't know.
Well, it just didn't. It was
exactly.
Well, it has really cool abilities, a lot of mobility, and it hit like a wet noodle.
Hey, fast moving wet noodle.
If they just needed to crank up the damage a bit, because I set it up full Marauder gear for it. Went out and did some general open world PvE, and I was like, "Where is the meat?"
all bone, no meat.
It just didn't hit me. It didn't hit anything hard at all. I'm like, why am I playing this? I'm not doing anything.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that's something they can fix up and make it a little more impactful before Ender Dragons comes out. But yeah, that's a fair option.
And it might have a place in higher end PvE as another source of alacrity, but I mean, if that's the only thing it's bringing to the table for the group, it clearly doesn't bring any damage at all, and it probably won't see much use, especially when you got Mechanist.
Another one too is I didn't really What's the Necro one again?
Forgettable.
Yeah, exactly. I don't even remember what the Necro one is, but that's another one.
Harbinger.
Harbinger. Yeah, I don't know. That's another one that just didn't really do much for me.
I tried it out in CM 100, and I wasn't able to do as much damage as just my regular Scourge. So, and Scourge brings everything else that it has. So I didn't really see much purpose in using the Harbinger because all it does is DPS, and then also apparently it's now a source of quickness. But I mean, unless you're going for the quickness with it, I don't really see much purpose.
Yeah, to me, it just looked boring. It wasn't that exciting looking.
Yeah, that's not. It's just
more Necro.
It plays like Core Shroud.
Okay.
I mean, it's just you just shoot bolts.
Bolts, yeah.
Except it's centered around doing lots of torment and other condies, and that's it.
Yeah. So it's just meh.
It's very very meh.
Well, all right. Well, then I guess ultimately, how do you think? So I know we talked about it a little bit, but what do you think the shakes up for like PvP in I guess World versus World as well, especially once the alliances come in? We're gonna have the alliances eventually, and also all the new elite specs. Do you think that's gonna? Do you think people will actually change things up a lot, or do you think a lot of the things are mostly just gonna be the same? I also know they're doing the split too. With instead of 10, it's 5. I don't know if that's really gonna affect World versus World, but all the
for that World versus World, it's not going to really change much unless they really cull down certain professions that have been in the meta for a very long time. Scourge and Healbrand.
Yeah.
Or Firebrand. Because those two in particular are just so ridiculously powerful.
Yeah. In almost any mode too.
Yeah.
Like it's not like they're overpowered in one particular place. It's like doesn't matter. Take them and you're good.
So what they probably should really do with like Firebrand is you have to choose a trait, and that trait will determine you only get one tome.
Yeah, you get a book. Yeah, your page and your tome is based off.
And maybe you get shorter, or maybe a shorter cooldown on the tome than you currently have now, but you only have access to that one tome.
There you go. Yeah, because it just brings everything and a lot of it.
Yeah. So Selly Healbrand or Selly Firebrand right now is used everywhere. Is you have access to Selly's celestial stats, so you have an okay amount of stats in every single stat pool.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, you might not be the top DPS or the top on healing or boons or whatever, but boons you might actually be top because you have to take a whole lot of concentration to get to 100% concentration. So you end up in a very strong amount of amount of damage and a strong amount of healing and a really good amount of boons, and then you carry a whole freaking team.
Yeah, you're just overall just really good. Yeah. Sometimes being really good at a lot of things is better than just being extremely good at one thing.
Well, especially in Guild Wars 2, because you have boons, and boons don't necessarily scale,
right?
Except for regeneration. They just Aegis. It does. You can't really scale Aegis. It just does its thing, and its thing is very powerful.
Right. Broken. That's another thing too. The fact
or stability,
it's the funny thing too. That not only do you get all the buffs and stuff of Firebrand, but then you also just get the OP buffs of being a fucking Guardian, and you get your Aegis and stuff too. It's just so much power. Not and just like broad damage, but like
and even though it you don't running Selly, you don't get that much overall in Condi stat. You're basically the only condition that you put out is burning, which is the most powerful of all of them. So even though you're not getting that much of the stat, you're putting out the best
the best worst
Conti in
case
the
scenario.
game.
Yeah, it's the best worst case scenario. It's like, yeah, it might not be a lot, but the one thing you're doing is it's like the highest end of that pool. So, yeah, that's just, yeah, a little absurd. I'm curious to see. I mean, I know they did mention like some nerfs are coming. I'm not sure if it's gonna be enough, and we'll have to see. We'll have to see. The first, like, when I know they said they're gonna do a balance pass, but I don't know exactly when. Is it like a month after? I don't remember exactly.
Something like that.
Yeah.
This because a recent post is kind of weird as far as like Ranger and Warrior
Yeah,
are right now the only classes that don't provide either quickness or alacrity in some space.
Yeah. Aren't they gonna be the goal is what, to change banners and spirits to do that or something?
It's something along those lines. They want to get rid of our unique buffs.
Right.
'Cause
Simplifying.
those are the things right now that carry the two professions.
Yeah.
Because you can't get
Anywhere else.
spirits anywhere else.
Which
you
is
can't
like,
get banners anywhere else.
And how do you feel about that? Because in one hand, I get it, because it helps balance. That makes the game easier to balance, and therefore you can make more like fair balancing content. But on another hand, it also makes things sad because you're getting rid of class flavor and uniqueness, and you're simplifying everything and homogenizing, but you know what I mean. You're simplifying everything and making everything similar so that the individual flavor of each thing changes or is not there, I should say.
Well, it's a little weird because,
because it's kind of cool to be like, yeah, I'm a ranger and I bring spirits and I have spirits and you don't. It's like, well, I'm a warrior and I have banners and you don't.
Well, it's like let's say if they're gonna give druid the means to deliver quickness, well then you're just gonna replace the spirits with sources of quickness. So you're still, every time you bring a druid into a raid party or something, you're still going to be kind of pigeoned into using whatever ability that gives quickness.
Yeah, you're pigeonholed into effectiveness over style.
Yeah, and if they do the same with the warrior, well, you're, instead of bringing a banner in that slot, you're going to bring whatever it is that enables you to deliver quickness or alacrity.
I think what it will be is like that. It will be banners or spirits, and they'll do that buff, but they'll only affect 5 instead of 10.
And maybe that's the way they're going to go with it.
So it's like I have a quickening Zephyr spirit, and it gives quickness to everybody, but it only does it for 5.
And then that kind of brings in an interesting situation where if everyone has an ability to bring quickness or an alacrity or whatever, everyone in the party just brings their alacrity or quickness ability, and then no one has to spec into concentration stat, so everyone's just going to be in Zerker stats.
And then we're back to where we started.
And then we're right back to the old school dungeon meta.
Yeah, and then we're back to where we started. Zerk, all time.
Zerker meta. I see it now. This is the future. Zerker meta. Always. Forever.
Forever. It's the dominant. It's all you need. Oh, man. I look forward to it. It's going to be a big shakeup. I'm curious to see what all this stuff brings. And like I said, as excited I am for Ender Dragons, I am really excited to see what happens after. It's going to be interesting to see. We're in an interesting time for Guild Wars 2. I'm curious. I'm looking forward to it. I'm finally glad we're finally getting an expansion. It's been so long. I'm so hyped.
Yep.
I
don't know. I don't know what to expect.
I know, right?
I'm wondering if we're gonna be able to fight Canoxy.
I know, or if he'll be mentioned, or if like it was part of something, or anything, or if it's his own story and that was it. But I would like to believe, because he was considered like a demon, but he wasn't necessarily tied with Abaddon, though, right? I don't believe so. Not officially.
Well, the thing is, he was
Like ripped from
as
the
far as
myth,
the
right?
game's code, he was a demon, but at the same time, there seems to be two sort of distinctions of what a demon is in Guild Wars 2. On the one hand, you've got demons like, the Marganites or Raza or whatever, which are entities from, the
The mists or in
Mists,
general.
which is kind of like this game's version of the Twisted Nether. And then you've got beings like Kanoxi, which I don't believe there was any backstory regarding Kanoxi being from the Mists. He was just this entity that was referred to as a demon. Kind of like Onis. I don't think Onis were ever explicitly stated to have been from the Mists.
I thought they were. I thought at least the Oni were.
Now I gotta look at the wiki now to figure out.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. It just goes, Kanoxai is a demon who dwells in the deep, far below the Jade Sea. His exact origins are unknown, as are his allegiances. So we don't know. Okay, we don't know where he comes from, and we don't know who he's working with. If he possesses any, he has begun to spread his power and assemble an army. That's all it really says. Of his growing nightmare horde. Okay, the nightmare horde is a group of demons, nightmares, and insane Luxons that are controlled by Kanoxai. So Kanoxai had like his own group called the nightmare horde. See, like, okay, so here's okay. So
okay. So
there's
here I'm looking up
nightmares.
Oni. The Oni are believed that the Oni are. This people believe that the Oni are outcasts in an advanced state of corruption and insanity caused by Kanoxi's influence from the deep. So the Oni are believed to be directly connected with Kanoxi.
Yeah, there are some who say the demonic savage Ani originate in the mists. Others from someplace even more distant, dark, and cut off from the world of sanity. There are killers from beyond, appearing from nowhere to butcher their victims. For what reason, no one knows. Whatever their purpose or origin, the Ani are among the most deadly things on two legs. Yeah. But yeah, so we can tie the Ani back to Kanoxai, but we can't really go any further back than him.
Yeah, so it's
He'd make a great strike mission or a raid or something.
Yeah. As far as demonology is concerned, demons in Guild Wars 2 are not strongly distinguished.
It's just basically if you come from a different plane of existence. Pretty much all that seems to be the only common thread. And hell, I guess it doesn't even technically need that because you don't have to be born a demon because, yeah, like you were saying, Magranites are considered demons and they're not born demons, they're turned into demons.
I don't know. It's because we know that Bubbles is going to be in Cantha, but we haven't been told anything about it.
Yeah. I don't know. We don't know. There's Dwayna. I mean, Dwayna, not Dwayna. All we know is there's Kunavang, there's Maureen, and yeah, I think that's
In June.
Yes, but like dragon wise, I don't know. I don't know who. Like, I'm just trying to think of when the other dragon comes into play. I don't know. Well, we'll find out in less than a week, I guess. It's only a matter.
And I have a feeling. I think time travel is going to be taking part at some point in this. Time travel.
Possibly. What do you think? Go back to the beginning and see?
Oh no! If you watch the original trailer, with the bubbles and the things and stuff.
Right. The reveal trailer.
And the lady inventor person was saying that your children would be stuck in the past or something. And
you think
and then she said
literally?
that at the same time that like all this sort of technology is revealed around her, and I'm thinking that somehow there's some sort of time travel happening there.
So you take that statement as literal?
Yes.
Because as I said, most people would probably just think like they meant like non-advanced technology. They'd still be in the past if it wasn't for her advancement in Jade Tech.
Some people think. I think that was be interpreted literally.
You think it literally? I mean, that'd be a decent way to do it. You make a vague statement like that.
Because of this, the very moment she said that, there was this weird screen effect going on, and then there was this reveal of all this technology there, and some weird sounds happening. I think that they were inferring
trying to use the mists,
some Jade Tech time travel technology.
I mean, if we want to split hairs, I mean, time travel does exist in Guild Wars. It existed in Guild Wars 1 with the helicopters and going back in time and the Terminator stuff.
That was just an April Fool's thing.
No, it's canon.
The helicopter's canon.
Yes. The helicopter's canon. Going back in time and saving Gwen's mother is canon.
Huh.
So yeah. Same thing with like in Guild Wars 2. Or you can look at the Guild Wars 2 if you want. You can see the SWAT commandos pop out of time portals in Jahai Bluffs.
When?
In Jahai Bluffs, you know when Krakatork is eating the mists?
Yeah.
Sometimes portals will spawn and you can see the SWAT soldiers come out of it. And they look around and they run away and then they jump into another portal.
Is that during the story mission?
Nope, it's just like out in the world.
In Jahai Bluffs.
Yep.
Is there video footage of this?
I can probably pull up the actual...
I gotta see this. I didn't know this.
Yeah, they do it. It's a very small thing, and it's very easy to miss because it's very brief. They like pop out of a portal, they look around, and then they leave. Let me see. I think you can call them... Yeah, question mark, question mark, question mark is what their name is. No, okay, that's not what they're... No, that's just the name of that room. Let me see. How can I know it exists. I want to see how would I... Actually, let's just go Jahai Bluffs. Oh, here we go. To see the unknown NPC. There we go. Got it. And then I will send it to you in Discord. There. Question mark, question mark are commandos that randomly appear in Jahai Bluffs. They're wandering through rifts connected to the mists and are now lost.
Oh, so they're only in that specific zone?
Yeah, they're only in Jahai Bluffs. They just pop because that's where during the plot of the game, Krakatork is eating the rifts or eating the mists, and it's causing tears in time and space, and everything's all fucked up. But during that time, you can see a group of the question mark, the commando. It's like 3 commandos. They just pop out of a portal. They run a little bit. They apparently have a dialogue that goes, "We're in the wrong place." Apparently they have that, and they jump into another one and they disappear.
Now, is that inside that question mark zone? In there?
No, I believe it. I don't know. It doesn't have to be in there. It just has to be throughout. They just appear in Jahai Bluffs, just random places.
You said this is on the wiki?
Yeah, I sent you the link.
Oh, you did? Okay, I'll look in here.
Yeah, so they exist in canon, technically. Not in our universe, but they do exist in canon. Because we've seen them now in-game. But yeah, just a little fact for you. But yeah, I figure we can start to wind this down. I don't really have anything else to say other than like, are you looking forward to the strikes? Are you looking forward to the challenge modes rolling out shortly after? You think people?
We don't know. We don't know when they're going to roll out.
Yeah, shortly after is pretty much all we know. You don't have an exact time frame.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to doing those.
Do you think the community as a whole will do challenge modes, or do you think it'll be one of those things where only very few? and then it gets gated.
Probably that's how it'll end up.
I guess it comes down to the challenge. If they're actually challenging, then yeah, they'll probably be gated. People will gate them.
Well, the thing is that so many people have such an extreme level of difficulty with just the basic functions of the game, and then to like have them go and do hard content that's intended to be hard for people who understand how the game works, it's impossible for them.
Yeah, I know the jump is so vast.
And I think that it really all goes back to like how people, even just basic interfacing with the game, like, you know, are you clicking on your skills manually, or are you using
Keyboard turning,
you know keyboard turning or this or that or whatever? You know, are the players effectively binding their abilities so that they're not clicking on them with their mouse? Are they using an MMO mouse? Or are they kind of dancing around their keyboard or whatever? A lot of people don't make it beyond skill clicking, and so they're never going to get good enough at just a basic game to ever go further beyond.
I mean, and the thing too is that for overall, I feel like Guild Wars 2 is rather lenient when it comes to its like super challenging stuff. Again, I haven't done the most high end stuff, but just with the simplicity of like the down mechanic and everything, you have a lot of chances when you fuck up to unfuck yourself.
Well,
And it still happens. That's my point. Is it
well,
like,
no, the thing is that down state, most unless you've got something that's already near dead and you can kind of get a few hits to get it killed, I think most professions don't stand a chance once they go into downstate. The downstate's just wasting a player's time.
well, but I mean, like in a group content, if you fuck up, you don't just die. You have a chance for your allies and team to pick you back up. So you can fuck up a lot and still like stumble through. The game's pretty lenient in that regard.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you gotta have players in your party that are willing to, res you every 2 seconds.
Well, I mean, yeah, but you probably won't have
and basically
if you're
like
dying every
forcibly
2 seconds,
drag you through the encounter.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying you. I'm just saying overall, it shouldn't. The game isn't so punishing where like you mess up once and you die. It gives you plenty of opportunity to learn. I guess what I'm saying is like people should be getting better because it's not like the game doesn't give you a chance to learn. I blame. Basically, what I'm saying is, yeah, I blame the game a little bit for not really teaching people at all, but I also blame people for not being willing to learn. Little column A, little column B.
I mean, each profession, like in Guild Wars 2, each profession plays radically different than the others in wide margins. Whereas most people come from a game like World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy or some other game that follows that sort of structure, where pretty much everything plays in some way to a large degree the same, especially past couple of years, because pretty much every class in World of Warcraft, is building some sort of combo point now and to use big abilities, and everything's kind of set up that way now. And I haven't played Final Fantasy, but everyone tells me it plays just like World of Warcraft, so I'm going to assume that there's some degree of comparison there as well for Final Fantasy. I think coming to Guild Wars 2 where 7 out of 9 professions don't even have that resource that it's juggling. Just everything's on cooldowns and managing boons and this and that. And in some professions, you use your utilities are also attacks.
Right.
And it's also very hyper complicated in this game that it's very difficult to pick up.
I can understand where I see. I don't. I mean, I guess I'm biased. I've been playing it forever. I also I don't know. I also been playing video games my whole life, basically. So, I feel like I fully agree. It is vastly different. And if you go into Guild Wars 2 with the mindset of WoW or other stuff, you're gonna have a hard time. It's not that. Guild Wars 2 is very action, very more on the action game spectrum than like the delicate dance of more traditional MMOs. But I don't think that inherently means it's super hard or complex, really, to at least do good enough to get things done. I just think people don't want to learn, don't want to put in the effort, or don't want to change their mindset. And I feel like that's less the game's fault and more the human flaw. But I guess you could say, well, it's the game's fault for not incorporating the human flaw into its design. But I don't know. But
I think it's just a consequence of. I think it's the player base that ArenaNet has managed to hold on to over the years is
very casual.
I think this is more than just casual. It's that they managed to acquire the player base they had back in 2005, 2006, and that's kind of like the core audience that they have, and it hasn't. They've struggled to get anything beyond that to stick around, and that audience that they've acquired and retained is a lot of old people.
Yeah, there's a lot of old people who play Guild Wars 2.
I'm in a guild here, or guild alliance, I should say. It's got 5 guilds, and they've got about 1,000 active players at any given time, and they're all freaking old people. Not literally all old people, but like
I've noticeable.
I'm 32 years old, and I'm on the very, very much on the younger end of the spectrum of the guild.
They're like 50s, 60s.
Yeah, I mean, one of the community owners, they have 5 community owners that kind of oversee the whole community, all of its guild leaders, officers, everything. And one of them is 73, 74.
Damn.
Like, a lot of people in this guild are retired.
Fair. They have time to do that, so.
Yeah, and I don't regret them for that. But if that's indicative of a very, very massive chunk of the community, that means that we're not going to get a whole lot of content that's going to make us feel alive. If you get what I'm saying,
got
here.
one foot in the grave already.
We're not going to get a whole lot of content that pushes the limits of the game engine and our adrenaline fueled excitement because they can't handle it.
Break a hip.
Well, it's just they can't keep up.
I mean, we'll be there eventually, but yeah, I feel you. It's like we're not there now. No.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying here is that we're not there, but they are, and they're also the ones that are wailing hard for the game.
Right. I was gonna say if they're retired, they have nothing else to do. They're just like, oh, all the gems, I can do that, sure. Well, yeah, I mean, you're not wrong, I suppose. It's anecdotal, but like in my experiences, yeah, I've met a lot of older players who are more on the older end who just sort of like just chill and vibe with the game rather than worrying about challenges and stuff. It's just funny that such a good fluid combat system is in a game where the majority of people who play it don't understand it or don't even care. Just how unfortunate, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, there's another person in this guild that I'm not sure how common this type of ideology or way of playing the game is, but she doesn't do hardly any hardcore content at all. she just kind of goes around the game farming easy farms to sell all the junk so she can buy gems.
Hey, some people just like that.
And
like, I don't mind that. Like, I can understand that, and that's fine. The pity isn't that they exist. The pity is that that has such a strong sway over what content is made. That's where it's like, oof. It's totally fine to like your game to be just like a farm simulator. The game's pretty. Maybe you just enjoy, and it's fun to move around in. So you can just enjoy looking at things and enjoy. Like, I get it. Like, I get, as I said at the beginning of this whole thing, my favorite thing to do is explore new maps and get around and stuff like that. Like, I get the appeal.
I don't begrudge people, these individuals. Oh my god, I kind of use as kind of a reference to a certain archetype of player.
Yeah.
I don't begrudge them for like how they want to play the game. And my problem is if that's like a very, very sort of demanding majority of the player base, that means that I'm not going to get any interesting content that makes me, really engaged with the game.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. That's what I'm saying. The pity is that there's just that they have such a sway. That's what it comes down. Like, having fun that way, that's fine. That's cool. I don't blame you for that. But the fact that that type of content becomes the sway, kind of, it sucks on the far end side if you're on the higher end and you really want to push the limits of the game. That's why Guild Wars 2 will always, like, not always, hopefully it can change eventually, but that's why Guild Wars 2 has that impression on the outside community, outside of Guild Wars 2, that it's a casual, dress-up, relax sim thing.
Yeah.
But, hey, maybe after End of Dragons and maybe whatever comes after that, that can start to change. It's only... I think it can, it won't be immediate. It has to be a gradual change. But it can be done. It can be done. Hopefully ArenaNet can pull that off and get a little bit of everything so it feels like it's not just catered to relaxing casual players.
Yeah, I would really like to see, and I think it would really fundamentally change the game community, is if ArenaNet did like a guild chat live stream where they chill for a Razer Naga mouse or something similar, an MMO mouse where you got like the 12-button pad,
right? Yeah,
and the thumb slot.
That's what I got. I got 12. Yeah, 12, and then 2 buttons up
top. They did like a chill stream like that, and it kind of explained how this type of sort of peripheral can really enhance your capacity as a player within the game.
I mean, yeah,
because I think there's a lot of players in the game that are still clicking skills or whatever.
I get you.
And that's kind of why they struggle so hard when they go into in-game content.
But see, like, I don't know. I feel like that's definitely part of it, and that will show up on your damage and your things like that. But like, if you're dying to mechanics, it's not even gonna matter. If you don't learn mechanics,
if you're taking your mouse and you're aiming at your skills and things at the same time that you're trying to dodge mechanics and stuff, there's a certain sort of limit of how many inputs you can put into the game at a time if you're trying to do it like that. You know what I'm saying?
I think so. What do you mean? Just like the game literally can't do
all if I'm taking my mouse to go and click on abilities, that means that I can't hold right click so that I can angle my character and do strafing or anything like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, no, that made 100%. Yeah, I got you there.
So you're greatly limiting
your movement,
the amount of inputs that you can put into the game simultaneously.
Yeah, now I get you. At first, it sounded like you're saying like the game couldn't understand, but no, what you're saying is you're limiting how much input you can. You're limiting your control, basically.
Yeah,
that makes sense. That's the best way to put it.
As well as your focus, because now you have to aim and look and pay attention, make sure you're clicking on the right ability, and all this. So you're limiting the amount of information that you can interact with your freaking eyeballs. Because you have to focus on clicking abilities, which means you're not paying attention to anything else happening. So you're limiting the amount of things you can actually inject into the game, and you're also limiting the amount of information that you can effectively read coming from the game to you.
So it weakens you on both ends.
Just by being a clicker, just by clicking your abilities.
There you go. See? I think that's well stated. That's a very good way to explain why. I feel like that's really good. Yeah. Yeah, it makes you weaker on both ends, both what you can do and what you can assess from what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's legit. Very, very well said, I think. That makes perfect sense. But yeah, well, hopefully we'll see how the strike missions are and see how they're balanced. I do like the idea that they're doing... I like the idea that they're finally recycling content. Like, they're using the story mode bosses to make the strike stuff, which is a smart idea. Something I don't know why they didn't do sooner. But we'll see. Well, I'm definitely curious. We know that the 4 are on launch. I think the only lockout is you have to do the story equivalent. Are you gonna do... What's your I guess the last thing we'll talk about is what is your actual game plan? Do you have a game plan? Are you just gonna do story, or are you gonna like complete a map and then do story, or do you have a plan?
I'm gonna follow the story, and then at every point in which a side path opens its way to me, I'm going to take the side path.
Okay, what do you mean by like a side path?
Like if there's like a freaking event that pops up, I'm gonna be like, oh, gotta go do that event.
All right.
Oh, there's a weird fucking thing over there that looks cool. I gotta go do that. I'm gonna go full ADHD.
Yeah, just get lost. Just wander around.
That's over time. I found that's like how I really love playing, RPG games. Is that
And just see what happens next.
The side content is oftentimes more interesting and in causes me to be inquisitive than the main story stuff.
Yeah, I can understand that, and again, it comes back to the fact that when things are in little bubbles, that you can tell more interesting and silly stories. So that's why side quests and things are actually really important in games. I feel, is because you can go outside the bubble.
It's kind of an effect that came upon me after I played Witcher 3. Is it like, oh my god, side content is where it's at.
Yeah.
The main story, it's the meat and potatoes of the game, but you know what? I like all these side things. I like the chips. I like all this other stuff that's on the side. Meal. That's really great.
Yeah.
The appetizers.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah. I don't have any solid plan either. My real plan is I'm gonna unlock the elite spec for each of my classes right before I start. That way I have it'll make getting achievements and things easier if I have them all at least started. So I'll quickly just log on all my characters, unlock the new elite spec to unlock the any achievements that might be associated with it, and then I'm gonna start. And yeah, I'm pretty much just doing the same thing. Like, I'll start the story, and then when the story is like, go to that location, I'll just sort of wander about and do things and eventually make my way there. So, do any events, grab any vistas. I like filling out my map, so I tend to get lost just exploring my map. It's helpful that I like achievements, because I basically know that everything eventually is tied to an achievement usually. Like, either do certain amount of events in an area, or do certain this or that or whatever. So I'm always just doing everything in hopes that it will help with achievements. Yeah, alright. Well, that was the hype for End of Dragons. I'm ready. Less than a week. I got snacks ready. I got drinks ready. I got my days off. I have 4 days off. So
only 4? I took a whole week off.
I only needed 4. If I actually have more than that, I would probably honestly start to get kind of antsy. I like to go. I like to get out sometimes. 4 days is after 4 days of basically doing nothing but playing. It'll be good. I'm also older now. I can't know life as long as I used to when I was younger. My body will be like, your back hurts. You have heartburn. Like, you have a headache now. It just
You're constipated. You've been sitting in one spot for too long.
yeah, you have ass sores. You haven't you haven't got up. Yeah, so make sure you stand up, make sure you stay hydrated, and make sure you eat. That's all I can tell you. So thank you guys for listening to the first episode of the Blowing Smoke podcast. I appreciate you guys listening, and I'll see you guys in Cantha. Peace out.
Later.